In the lamplight, the withered leaves collect at my feet, and the wind begins to moan.
Hello and welcome back to Remake Hot Take, the podcast where we play studio executives pitching remake ideas of our favorite and new media. I'm Marriya Schwarz.
And I'm Brooke Rees, and this week we are doing The Marvels, which is the sequel, kind of, I guess, right? Sequel to Captain Marvel, starring Brie Larson, and this time they're bringing in a couple more characters. But
That
Marriya,
you did not know.
that I did not know, but yeah, this is going to be a Marriya forward podcast because I think I've mentioned before that like I was like a very casual Marvel fan and then, met Marriya in college and she and her roommate Maggie were both top tier
This was
Marvel
college
fans.
experimentation for
Yeah.
Brooke.
Yeah, I really went wild in college. I experimented with Christianity for one semester and then I experimented in fandoms, but yes, they were much more hardcore Marvel fans, so I tagged along for a bunch of different movie premieres and really got into it, which I don't know, in my opinion, like obviously this is very me focused.
You
I feel
said
like
movie premieres as if like
red
we're like
carpet. No. We were at like our local AMC, like on the day or like a few days after they had been released. But yeah, in my opinion, I feel like that was like the heyday of Marvel. Like I feel like the whole world was in on it and they hit us with the Avengers and then every like Avengers sequel after that and we saw Endgame together and I just feel like it was much more of a big deal back then. I think because they had like basically limited stuff to the movies that each time there was a new release, it was a big deal. And then I feel like everything else, and we've talked about this before, like the switch from movie focused to streaming focused and a lot of different brands have shifted into series and everything. And I've mentioned it that well, a couple of factors. One, no longer in college. The experimentation of hardcore Marvel had ended. And then with COVID and everything, no one was going to movie theaters. But I do have a Disney Plus subscription, but even so, I definitely have not been able to keep up with the wider Marvel universe and all of the series and everything. So it's something that like I think if I ever have like time or am bedridden for any reason, I would definitely want to go like chronologically through everything from start to finish, but I just definitely haven't had time now. And so Marriya really wanted to talk about this film, which we can jump into in a second. I think for various reasons it's a fairly new release, and I think there's some discourse about like the female superhero leads and everything. But for my part, I definitely jumped into this movie a little bit like behind the times in terms of who these new characters were. And I had seen Captain Marvel with Marriya. I didn't rewatch it. I tried to rewatch it for this one, but then ran out of time. I got like 10 minutes into it, and oh boy, do I have the same amnesia that Carol Danvers has, because I had absolutely no memory of Jude Law being in this movie, like no memory of what the Kree were. Like if you asked me what Captain Marvel was about, I would have thought that it was like everyone was just talking about that she was gay. And so all I remember is her like maybe being gay and like having a short haircut and that she's like the
That
most
wasn't even
powerful
in that
one.
movie.
I don't know. I
She
I
she
think
didn't
I
even
was
have the
there.
short haircut in that movie.
I don't know. I don't even I remember absolutely none of it. So there is like a possibility that I have been like captured by aliens or whatever and have had my memories erased to become some sort of weapon. So yeah, my knowledge.
Hala has lost their sun, their atmosphere. They've relocated to Ohio.
They relocated to Cleveland, Ohio, and then they quickly realized that it's better back in Hala. But yeah, so no idea what's going on. So I think I offer, an interesting, if not limited perspective on what this movie would be like to someone completely outside the fandom that's just seeing it as like a movie. Which is interesting too, because I feel like that's something that no longer really happens. Like we've talked before about how we feel like a lot of these movies this year are like fan service and they're not really generating like new fans and everything. But for of course with like something like Marvel, they're kind of baking on the fact that the world either from the comics or from the many media and many movies that they've pushed out. But yeah, I think it's not too often that someone like Joe Schmo off the street who doesn't know who Carol Danvers is, aka me, sees something like this. So I think I'll offer
Or
an
Joe
interesting.
Schmo watches the movie and then he feels embarrassed and, shocked and ashamed. And then he buys a Disney Plus account. And that's the whole marketing scheme.
Yeah, I did have to do a lot of Googling, which I already have the Disney Plus subscription. So they can't get me. They'll get Joe, but they can't get me for any more than I'm worth. But I am someone that loves a wiki fan page. Like, oh, I thrive off of wiki fan pages. I love people who make those. Because I am an avid Googler. And boy, did I do a lot of Googling and texting Marriya. It was kind of a race between who could answer first, the wiki fan page, or Marriya. But yeah, Marriya, how come we're talking about this movie this week, and what's your relationship with Marvel and specifically Captain Marvel?
So we haven't gone public with it yet, so it's kind of
So she is gay.
well, I think they cut a scene where that woman from Thor comes in and she takes the remaining members of whatever civilization, I forget what civilization it was, um, that was destroyed, that had their atmosphere stolen. That
Mhm.
lady came, and then I think there was a deleted scene that like they were in like a relationship before. Also, the
Ooh,
emperor of that civilization who had their atmosphere stolen, that's the dad from Billy Elliot.
really?
Yeah,
He looks different.
he wants to be in the ballet. Um, but yeah, I saw this movie with my sister um just the other weekend, and I like Kamala Khan. I get mixed up with the vice president. I really do, because one of them is
Kamala Harris.
Kamala, one of them is Kamala, and now that I'm talking, I don't remember which one is which.
I think it's Kamala Harris.
Kamala, so this is Kamala. Yeah, this is Kamala. Okay. Yeah, so Kamala Khan, like her a lot. Um, Name confuses me, but that doesn't take away from her personality, I find. Um, so I liked that it wasn't like it was the series that I had watched from. So like it pulls from WandaVision, it pulls from Miss Marvel, obviously, it pulls from Hawkeye at the very end. So it was enough that I could understand it. And like because I had just finished Loki season 2, so if there was anything from there, I probably would have missed it. But yeah, I don't really keep up fully. Like at least I don't go to the theaters to see really Marvel movies anymore.
Mhm.
So it's like when they make it on streaming that I actually see them. Like I haven't seen like Madam Web or anything, and I don't particularly plan to. Um, but I think this movie got a lot of hate, maybe just because Brie Larson. I don't know why people hated it so much. So maybe they're like eating their words now at Madam Web.
They were like, actually, this was a fine movie.
Yeah,
Spectacular, even.
aged well. But Yeah, I don't know. There's always hate for Brie Larson, which I don't get because I really like her. I don't know. I don't really follow her like personality all that much. Like I haven't seen like too many interviews of her, but I like her work. So I don't know. Thought it was fun. I'm not a big fan of like movies that all happen in space though. I'm not a big space person, and I
Hmm.
didn't feel grounded, probably because we were in
We were in
space.
space.
But yeah, I don't know. But you want to just jump in and what you thought and what you were confused by?
Yeah, I think that my overall impression, well, now I haven't seen Madam Web, so
Neither have
hard
I,
to
so
compare the two. I don't think I ever will. But as someone who knew very little, I did have to restart it. Like I watched the first 15 minutes and then had to just absolutely rewind and watch
pull a
the
Deb.
first. Yeah, I had to pull a Deb, who is my mother, and I did watch it with my roommate. So I was like, all right, we need to compare notes here
Had
about.
Megan seen anything from Marvel?
No, she's not
Oh
she's even
God.
less of a Marvel person. So I knew like just from general internet discourse and knowledge who at least Kamala, I knew who Kamala was, even though I hadn't seen anything. And then you had like talked about her too, I think on a podcast about the Miss Marvel series. So I generally knew background on that and then had general background about Carol Danvers' character, Captain Marvel. Had no clue who Monica was. She was the real wild card for me. I was
Okay,
like,
I had texted you about this, and I was like, you'll get it because you saw the first Captain Marvel, which I know because I was there. And then you saw WandaVision, and you did not correct me that you had only seen one episode of WandaVision. So that is not my fault.
I we're not placing blame anywhere. I don't know. I probably
My
just did.
lawyer did tell me to make a statement about it.
Yeah, we can pull up the screenshots of the text message thread. Yeah, I probably just like didn't fully read that message and I was like, okay, she thinks I'll get it. But yeah, no, I had watched one episode of WandaVision with my roommate when it came out like 3, 4 years ago. And then just never carried on with it. So yeah, I was very lost. They did do some like very minor background info and she was like in the flashback as Carol's friend's daughter, so her like surrogate niece or something. Um, and then I was like, well, why does she have powers? It just feels like everyone has magic powers these days. I was like, what is happening? So it did briefly say that she walked through a witch's hex, and my brief knowledge of WandaVision is that Wanda like went a little cray cray after Vision died, and she kidnapped like an entire town, put like a spell on them to be in like the 1950s and to have like a perfect life with Vision. And it was somehow supported by that evil lady who usually plays like sidekick characters, but now this was like her moment. I can't remember her name.
Agatha?
Catherine, what's her name? Is it
Well, the
Catherine Hahn
actor,
or something?
the character is Agatha, but
Yeah. What's
Agatha Harkness, but I don't remember what the
what the
actress's name
it's
is.
something like Catherine Hahn. If that may
Yeah,
be
I think it is. I don't think it's something like, I think you got it.
that may be completely right, or I have just put together two names that absolutely are not correct. So yeah, she's like also some sorceress witch, and apparently she maybe put a hex on the town, and Monica was somehow also in that town and walked through it. So I don't know, big man boom. Like, did other people not walk through the hex? I don't know. But she got powers and then she decided she wanted to be an astronaut, or maybe she already was an astronaut and just so happened to really like space
Well, she
and
like works for like Shield.
yeah.
and stuff, or whatever is left of Shield. I think they renamed or
They
rebranded
renamed
or
it like
whatever.
Saber or something. I don't know.
Something, I don't know.
But yeah, so my overall thoughts were that at points I was definitely a little bit too confused to be enjoying myself because I was just like, I cannot track anything important here because I have no idea who these characters are. And in terms of like Marble's ability to have someone come off the street and enjoy the movie, at certain points they were batting a low average. Like they were not being very inclusive with the storytelling because there was a lot of inside jokes. But then it got like further into it. I did my Googling, I did my wiki page stuff, and I feel like once you got over like the initial shock of all the background info needed to know who the characters were, we could then just continue on with the story of how they interact with each other in the story that's being created from this movie. So I would say after about like a quarter way into the movie, then I started to get like more adjusted and could just vibe with what was happening on screen. I would say I don't think it's like by far my favorite or anything. I don't think it deserves to get a bunch of hate. And I thought there were actually a bunch of moments that were really funny. So I really liked I actually really, really liked the Aladna scene, which I'm sure is probably like off-putting for a lot of people. And it was like jarring. It was a jarring tonal shift in this movie, but I feel like Brie Larson like often does, like she is like a singer and I feel like she often does kind of like
She has albums.
yeah, she's album. She like
I think she had
often
one album that was like something about like out of PE or something that she
okay.
released as a high school student or something, or just out of high school.
Yeah, she loves singing. Like she's just like always like in her underwear on Instagram strumming a guitar or something. So she loves singing. I feel like in a lot of movies that I've seen with her, there's some like random way to incorporate singing into it.
Mm.
At least her sillier ones. I'm thinking about like she's a singer and what's that? Scott Pilgrim.
Mm.
So
She
she's
sings
singing.
in Room.
Yeah, she works it in there, she's like, yeah, I'm an
Those are the
actor.
only these are the only three I can think of.
Yeah, but those are like the only three I've seen. So for me, it's like, wow, she sings in every single movie. So I think she's like a Disney actor where it's like, yeah, I'm an actor, but I'm gonna work my singing career into this movie. But yeah, I actually really liked, if we want to jump into like certain parts of this movie, the Aladna scene, which I said is probably like off-putting for a lot of people. But I am like guilty as charged. I have found my community of people because I will often go throughout my day and just like sing a little ditty or two. Like I quite frequently am singing like what I'm doing, or I'm like singing to the bunnies, or I'm just breaking out in song. So I think I found my home. I don't want to like, be too
I
certain of it,
do.
but I think I found my people.
I want to see what their Duolingo is like, or their like language classes, where they're like, "Hi, my name is." They're like, "Hi, and then they're like, "Nope, I'm changing languages. I'm going into the one that I'm fluent in. I need
Yeah.
to, I don't know, what would you even call that? Like spoken versus song?"
Yeah, I think they would have to see, that's a very tough thing. So it's like they're in high school and it's not even like they are overcoming many barriers. It's not just like you're in America and you're choosing like between Spanish and French. They have to have like a full like ideological shift. I would think that they would want like one of the languages that seems like more like melodic, probably like not German or something. Not one of those that's like a bit monotone and kind of sounds like angry. But yeah, I would love to see what like a speech language pathologist job is like for them. But yeah, there's not a monotone person in sight. Even when they do like become bilingual and learn like English or something, I feel like they would be like a slam poet or something. Like they would still have
Mm.
like a very
Hmm.
like even when they're saying a normal sentence, it would have a cadence and
Yeah.
a rhythm to it. So Yeah, but I really liked it. It was like it took me like 20 seconds to adjust, and then I was like, yes, okay, I can let myself into the silliness of this scene. And I really liked the prince or king or whatever of Aladna. And she was like, it's a marriage of convenience. And I liked when she was like, everyone's in danger, or like whatever rhythm she said that in, sang it in. So yeah, I really liked that part. Was there any scenes that stuck out to you as favorites or least favorites?
Um, I liked when she put on rainbow Crocs, and I liked
Yeah.
her entire wardrobe felt very millennial, where it's like I don't even know how old she is. I don't know like how many years that she's technically been alive. Like I don't know if she's like a space being or whatever, because she like looks like the same age as Monica now, so I don't think she really ages and she's been
Hmm.
in space. But even with that, you can't escape the chuggy as they call it.
I know. I was really interested in, and I'll bring that up later with my remakes. I was really interested in how they chose to do her like costume design in this film, and we got to see her like off-duty wardrobe, and they were picking outfits that were very interesting. She puts on like tie-dye Crocs and like a light tie-dye sweatshirt, and I don't know, maybe that's why people don't really like Brie Larson. I do think that she does
Because she
have
wears tie-dye
yeah,
sweatshirts.
I mean, this is apart from her character, but I do think that she does kind of embody a certain millennial like cringe to her, which
Mm.
I think some people use as like a lighting the fuel of just like misogynistic comments against her. But I do think that Brie Larson does a good job embodying that spirit of millennial cringe. And yeah, that was another thing that I wiki paged because I was like, wait, so Monica was her niece who was like, I don't know, 10 in that flashback, and now she's like 30. And Brie Larson like hasn't aged a day, so I was Googling what was going on with that. I think the Google said that because apparently she
She
received
uses Clinique. She's a
maybe it's
L'Oreal partner.
Maybelline. Yeah, she has a skincare routine that many people across the galaxy envy. Um, but I think it said that because she received like a Cree blood transfusion, so she's part Cree, and the Cree like apparently age a lot slower. So they said that that was like maybe a factor. But yeah, I don't know. Um, if we want to jump into other scenes, I did really like Goosey Goose, her what are they called? Flurkin. A flurkin.
Mhm.
I wrote it down. It's a flurkin, so it's like a cat, but it has like a bottomless pit of a stomach and like tentacle things and can swallow you whole. So that's her cat named Goose. And I thought one of the funniest scenes was when they're on some sort of like space shuttle that's also like an elevator that Shield and Nick Fury are on, and also Kamala's parents are there too, which I thought that was a weird like plot point, but I guess they're just like very concerned parents that wanted to be as close to their daughters somewhere in space as possible. But they are
Well, their
trying to
house was ruined.
yeah, but like why would they put themselves like up there? Like it seems like that was just like a dangerous
I don't
place to
know.
be. But I guess like in the world of Marvel, like nowhere is really safe. Like I would be pissed as like a homeowner in the Marvel universe. Don't go to like any major cities, but then I guess small town America isn't safe either because like a freaking depressed witch could could hold you hostage. So I'd be in all sorts of agony living in this world. But anyways, the spaceship is like going down, and they're like, the only solution is to get Goose, who has like 100 kittens, which I love a single parent. It's so sweet. um, he or she has many kids, and they're like, the only solution is to have like everyone on this ship just get swallowed whole, and then all the kittens will fit in this one space shuttle. Which when I was watching this with my roommate, she was like, did they learn nothing from the Titanic? And I was like, Megan, they just said that like 80% of the pods were destroyed. I was like, they did learn from the Titanic. she just wasn't paying close enough attention. So yeah, that was freaking hilarious. And they're running around and everyone's screaming as they like get the Flurkins to swallow them. And then they play Memory from the musical Cats, which was just like so funny. So I feel like even the producers and directors, writers were having like fun with this movie. And I feel like they kind of, I don't want to say they like didn't give a shit, but I feel like they kind of like knew that they weren't doing anything crazy serious or like crazy like groundbreaking for the Marvel universe, and they kind of just like let themselves have fun with
Well,
this.
I think that's
So
all Marvel movies now. I mean, they're not like
yeah,
DC comics, which takes themselves too seriously. I don't understand who got Goose pregnant.
that's what I'm saying. I think Goose is
I feel like it's
like
like a stingray
a
situation.
stingray shark baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which I think they did it probably like if we're talking like biologically, I'm pretty sure that they determined that the stingray was able to do some sort of like reproduction where they're able to like reproduce with themselves either by like producing like
I wish I
the
loved myself that much.
that's yeah, I think it's kind of an act of desperation in the animal kingdom.
I mean, we might get there.
We might, yeah, we might get there. I'm pretty sure, like, from one like AP bio class that it happens when they have like absolutely no access to like the other sex. So
Mm-hmm.
that's us in
I
like
might
10
get there.
years. We will get there. So yeah, I think Goose took matters into their own hands and, you know, just started reproducing. So I
Thank you
abs
for using they, them pronouns.
yeah, I was like, I don't know, he, she, we're not sure. Goose is definitely giving they them vibes. So they are a single parent and I absolutely love them. So yeah, that was another favorite moment for me. What about you? Any other scenes that stood out?
I just like Kamala a lot. I like her family. Um, I thought they added a good sense of humor because I feel like Carol tends to be pretty serious.
Hmm.
And then Monica was also serious. And so little sweet baby Kamala is there to just kind of hug everyone. And I think that's nice.
Yeah, let's talk about the character of Kamala because um no, I agree,
You
but
don't like her.
I
Oh
like
my
her.
God, you hate her.
I don't
Oh my
hate
God, you
her.
hate me.
I don't hate her. I like her like 50% of the time. And then the other 50%, I feel like they're like hamming it up a little bit too much with her personality. I will say my favorite part about her is her parents and her family members because I think that they were hilarious. And like you said, Carol is like an all business kind of lady, and Monica is like traumatized from being like dusted and then losing her family and not having Carol be there as like a parental figure. But I don't know, it was interesting. It was my first exposure to her. I hadn't seen the Miss Marvel series at all. I knew that you really liked her. But I think that she's sweet, but sometimes just like the even just the way that she like reads lines is like a bit off-putting. Like do you not find her cringy at all or do you like enjoy the cringe?
She's cute. She's
Okay.
adorable. She's happy.
She is happy. Like I think she's on like a miraculous like medication cocktail. Like her doctor has found the perfect like medication regimen for her because I feel like sometimes she's like being realistic for how someone would act in this situation. Again, I have no idea what her background is. She just is like, from my knowledge, she is a girl that is obsessed with Marvel who has a bangle and somehow also has magical powers. So can you explain it all? Because here my issue is that like sometimes she's very realistic, which is like she gets blasted into space for the first time and she's like, ah, and she's like screaming and she's like plummeting to her death. And then other times, like she is in like imminent death and she's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And I'm like, girl, if we were in like, let me just put it this way. If I was in a group project with her, I'd be annoyed. So I don't know. But what's her background? How did she get powers?
I don't remember fully everything, but basically her grandmother sent her like a box of old things, and one of them was the bangle, and then um she was going to a Comic-Con convention and she was trying to win the Miss Marvel costume contest, and the idea was like dress up like Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel and but like make it your own. So she
Mhm.
put on like the little like bangle for like a Pakistani touch to still like stay her. And her best friend is a like genius tech guy. So he was like building her all these gadgets as well. And then the bangle ended up giving her these like powers. So she developed them like at Comic-Con and saved like a bunch of people and stuff, and then there are a bunch of people like trying to like use her to like save their civilization and all this other kind of stuff. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, like she's just kind of like a fangirl. And I mean, I think we kind of I don't know, like the thing about it is, and I'm not saying that this is what you're saying and we can talk it out, but you know, Peter Parker had the same vibe, where he was kind of like a fanboy, loves like Mr. Stark and would do anything to be part of the Avengers. Um, did you find like the same issue with him? Because I feel like Kamala is kind of the female version of Peter Parker.
Yeah, I can't really remember anything that he did. Um, I only watched the first Tom Holland Spider-Man. Maybe this I think, I don't know. I didn't really watch
I'm
any of
thinking more Civil War and like Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame. That's where like
yeah.
he's with the whole group and he's like kind
And
of,
he's like starstruck.
yeah.
I can kind of remember it. I don't know. I think that her performance is just a little bit off-putting for me. I
Mm.
guess if we could like pit them side by side, which I'm sure someone's done like some sort of YouTube edit that I could watch of them. But I don't know. I don't think it's like a misogyny thing. I think it's just her reactions in like life and death situations just seem a bit immature for me. How old is she supposed to be? Do you know?
I mean, she's like a sophomore in high school,
Yeah, and I feel like she's
maybe
playing
sophomore,
like
junior.
yeah, and I feel like it's playing like a bit more like preteen vibes for me. I think my exact words that I said to my roommate were like, I think she's a fine, sweet girl. I think that she's a bit cringy and annoying in some parts, but I think her heart's in the right place. And I think that she is someone who will be like a lot less annoying in like 10 years time. Like I don't know, she just comes off a little bit immature and a little bit out of touch for like what the situations call for, and I feel like I just don't really enjoy that kind of humor as much as I liked like the humor that her parents were bringing, because her parents were like a much more relatable, like for me at least, much more relatable like concerned parent. Like they don't give a shit who Captain Marvel is. They don't give a shit that these like alien warriors are in their house. They're like upset that their daughter is breaking curfew. So I very much like that aspect that her character brings into it. But the character itself, I don't know. Maybe I just need more time with her. I need to watch the entirety of Miss Marvel because like I said, like you know that character from that series, so it's probably like much more endearing to see her in this, but I think it's much more just like of too jarring of a contrast for me to fully appreciate her. But by no means do I dislike her. I don't hate her. I just think that she's a bit off-putting in some scenes for me compared to the other new characters that I was introduced to.
Wow.
But yeah.
Okay.
It's okay, Mari. You have not
I
liked
just
characters that I have liked.
It's just this is the personality of like everyone you hung out with in college.
No, it's not. But but
Hmm.
but that's what I'm saying though. Like you can be a fangirl, but I think the reasons that I didn't like her was that she was fangirling when like she was about to die. Like I think it was like the contrast
Well,
between
I think she
like
felt like it was a test, at least in that first part. She didn't feel like it was fully real until like,
yeah, which I don't know what that means. Like what is
well,
she
she
think
thought
it's
that she was being recruited for the Avengers and that like this was like a test that they like sought her out to join the
yeah.
Avengers. Which
Is
like
that
in
like
that kind of scenario, if you like think that you're being like tested for like, I don't know, like a police academy, it's going to feel like less high stakes if like a man is not actually attacking you, but it's for like a test
yeah, is that like
to
part of her character? Because I was confused on that point because you had like described the Miss Marvel series on the pod before, and I like thought that she would already like be in contact with Nick Fury, but then she like
Mhm.
popped up outside of the space station. So yeah, I guess I was confused about why she hadn't
No, like
like
she's all,
met
only in
them.
Jersey City. And it's like Peter Parker does the same thing where he's like in when he's recruited to help take down Captain America, he's like, is this whole thing a test? So he like doesn't, I think, fully like freak out or anything because it's like it's an attest to be the Avengers. The Avengers is like it's I think they've gotten a lot bigger, but it's still like
Mhm.
in that world like a pretty like elite group that they
Yeah,
want to be in.
I guess there's like, I don't know, like a lot more people with superpowers, right? I feel like there have been like 15 more characters that have gotten
But not all of
superpowers.
them are Avengers.
Yeah, and not all of them. So what happened? I mean, here, I don't want to spend too much time because I want to jump into the remakes here, but what after Endgame, because I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen like the Black Widow or anything. So after Endgame, did the like core original Avengers that we think of, what happened to them? Are they still like active duty? And then we have like
Mm,
other categories of people, or did they kind of all fizzle out? Oh yeah, because at the end there's some like other Hawkeye girl, and then I was Googling who she was, and
yeah.
she's like a fan of Hawkeye. Like I thought it was gonna be like
Hmm.
Hawkeye's daughter or something, but I think she's just like someone that likes archery. So like what happened to, I guess my question is what happened to the core Avengers? And then what are they doing with all these other people with superpowers running around?
Um, I mean, a lot died. So Iron Man dead.
Sad.
Captain America dead.
Wait, is he dead? Or like he like
I'm
got
pretty sure
old,
he's
right?
dead because they had like a big thing in the what's it called? The show with Bucky and Falcon. And basically they were like trying to fix everything after the blip or whatever. And because a bunch of like companies are like folded or whatever, because like with Falcon's family, it was like they were trying to take out a loan, but they were like, you haven't been in business this long. And they're like, we've been in like the business for like 5 years. And they're like, well, we don't count blip time. And like, so there was all of that kind of stuff and like trying to fix, I guess, like all of the also like the villains that came back and all of that kind of stuff and get a handle back on and like deciding who was taking over for Captain America was that whole thing. So that's what they're up to. Hulk, I have no idea. Um, Thor is in New Asgard because Asgard is gone, so they had to relocate to a new place. And Jane from Thor got cancer and she had to like become Lady Thor and they went on a little thing and Ant-Man, he's trying to connect with his daughter and they explored the quantum realm even more and that was not a good movie. And Hawkeye, um, the girl that you saw, Kate Bishop. She like found who Hawkeye's like kind of, I wouldn't say evil, but like vigilante alter self, who he was. Um, I think it was during the blip period, um, when he was like trying to handle the fact that his family was all gone, and he basically like was this like evil assassin kind of guy. Not evil, but like was a lot less like heroic than like you would typically think of like as an Avenger, a lot less like morals. And so she took on that role, and then people started coming for her, and then Hawkeye had to come and like clean up her mess and then also align with her. And then Black Widow's sister was supposed to take him out, because she was hired by some like assassin league that she works for. And they had to bring down Kingpin. And so, yeah, they're like kind of, I think their stories are more in the shows now versus like the movies, I would say. Like that's where I think we've used a lot of the shows to bridge the gap between the movies or like the whatever phase we're in.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I feel like a lot of the characters that we've seen before are more being delegated to like TV series like Loki and stuff
Yeah.
like that versus like a movie. Um, oh, and then Scarlet Witch like got evil again, and Doctor Strange had to like take her down, and I think she's dead. So
Really?
yeah, yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, a lot happens. It's see,
Hmm.
that's what I'm saying. It's too much. I mean, I don't know. I didn't even like know that half of those series existed.
Hmm.
But I mean it's like a great thing for people that are hardcore fans. Like I can only imagine how exciting it would be to have like so much to go off of, but I think for casual fans it's a bit too intimidating to hop back in, especially if you had missed stuff. All right, well, any last thoughts or favorite moments or critiques of this film?
I just didn't really like the villain. I felt like she had too many accessories. She talked too slow, and her eyebrows were always weird.
I actually really liked her. I felt like she was I don't know.
You hated from your very core Kamala, and you like what Dar Benn or whatever her fucking name is, with
Yeah.
like an ear cuff, a necklace, now a bangle, now a tiara. Like, girl got a
Yeah.
fucking pick.
Yeah. Oh no, I'll bring it up as my remake. But no, I really liked her. I thought she was um honestly a very like sympathetic villain. It
She
seems
talks so slow.
she brings a calming presence that was needed. Also, if we rewind the track, I did not say that I hated Kamala.
That's what I got.
I said I thought that she was
I
a little
got
bit
you hated
cringy.
Kamala, you hate me.
I think that that is a personal issue that you need to work through. But no, I actually really liked her. I think that I don't know, everything felt like really like loosey goosey with like the different worlds, and they're just like so many planets. It was like hard for me to keep track of like who the evil planet is and like who the Kree are, because I'm pretty sure that the Kree are like villains, but then they're like portrayed in a much more sympathetic light in this movie. And I thought that she was a really interesting villain. And, oftentimes I think Marvel villains or like even like Star Trek villains when they come from these like different planets have their own motivations for keeping their own planet and their own like species of humanoid looking creatures alive. And I get it. Like Brie Larson is called like the Annihilator, and it's definitely this different side um than I've seen to a Marvel character where they're like, actually, she kind of like caused a civil war and potentially like a mass genocide of these people. and it's treated like very lightheartedly towards the end, but I do think that Dar Benn is a fairly like sympathetic uh villain in terms of like she thinks that she's just doing the best for her people. Obviously, her solution is to steal and kill from other civilizations, which is absolutely not okay. But I definitely think that her motivations are a lot more sympathetic than other villains, and she's definitely
She's
not
just
doing
Robin Hood.
this. Yeah, kind of. Well, but I think like,
Robin Hood with too many accessories.
like the key to Robin Hood is that he's stealing from the rich, giving to the poor, which like maybe Aladna, but the other species, like I have no clue who they are, but the green guys, it's made clear that they are like, or the scroll, yeah, the scroll, it's made clear that they themselves were like tortured or killed by the Kree, and now they're on some sort of like reservation for like refuge. They're in like a refugee camp, and they're like, actually we're gonna kill you even further. So I'm like, is she American? I'm like, is she British? Like this seems like a very British or American move here, but yeah, so less Robin Hood vibes. But the one thing that was interesting about her is that I feel like compared to other villains, she like is very much willing to like die for her people, and she like knows that the quest to get the sun is like going to kill her, but she does it anyways. I will say like my last criticism before we move into the remakes here, the ending felt very weird to me. Like I feel like we had like all this build up to like using the two bangles, and then she gets the two bangles, but her like plan is just like somehow like thwarted, like she's just like vaporized. And then like they make like this whole big workup of like Monica being like, I'm gonna stitch it and I'm gonna do it from the other side. And I was like, oh man, she's gonna sacrifice herself. And for some reason, like Carol and Kamala did not put like two and two together that it means that she would sacrifice herself, even though like it took him like 5 minutes to come to that conclusion. And I was like, it seemed obvious from my perspective that if she needed to like close this unclosable gap between dimensions, that she would need to be on the other side of it, and wouldn't be able to come through. So yeah, she kind of dies, but I feel like it was kind of like low stakes because with this new phase of the Marvel series, it makes it seem like they can get like anyone back. Like I feel like they're playing with like multi dimensions.
Well, you did
And
see the end scene, right?
no, what was the end scene? Even on Disney Plus, they do that. Should I have stayed after the credits?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. This tells you
It even
how
says on Disney Plus when you're watching, like, cut to the end scene,
I didn't see that.
that she wakes up and she's in the X-Men universe.
Oh, well, I haven't seen any X-Men either. It wouldn't have been helpful information for me. No, see, I'm not a good Marvel fan. I told you this was college experimentation, but oh no, I didn't see that at all. So they're getting, is X-Men also under like the Disney
It was
Marvel
21st Century
umbrella?
Fox, but then 21st Century Fox was bought by Disney, so.
Oh, okay. All right, so that explains her absence. Guess they're not getting that key to the old plane then. But yeah, so I thought the ending felt like a bit rushed and a bit like the stakes seemed not as like big as they had been like working up to the whole time. And then I was also confused like what exactly like Carol's powers are and how she could completely like restart a sun. That was impressive, but was also confusing. So yeah, do we want to jump into our remakes then?
Sure.
Okay. So I think that, we're talking about crossovers here. Apparently the X-Men are involved, but I think that we center the people who deserve it most, which is the people of Aladna. And it's giving like Mediterranean vibes. It's giving one might say like Grease. And I think there should be an Aladna Mamma Mia 3-4 crossover.
Mm.
I just think that that's what the people want and need. And we need to spend more time that the prince
But
or
it
the
would have to
king.
be a Les Mis kind of thing because they can't speak.
Yeah, they can't speak, but I think that Mamma Mia needs to like full send the musical, the musical side of this. I think that what is it? Abba
Hmm.
lives in Aladna, and I think they need to cook up some more material. But yeah, Les Mis, I think they'll take inspiration from that. You're definitely right. They'll have to make it fully crossover there.
Can they
Um,
understand Hamilton?
I don't know. Yeah, that's funny. What if like all that they know about like US culture, if we're giving an example, is like only from like our our musicals. So they're like, or I guess music. Huh. Interesting. But yeah, so that's one idea. And then the next one, I'm going to do a remake where I'm like putting myself into the movie. So as you can tell from this podcast, hardcore fan here. But you know, they say that they all have like light-based powers is what connects the three of them. So I think that there should be a fourth Marvel, and that's me. But I think that my light powers are just like a lot lamer in comparison because I don't really have like the oomph, the gusto that I need to fully be an Avenger. So I think that my light-based powers are like I have like a clapper, like I clap and like
I thought you
I
were just gonna say you
I
have a
have the
light skin tone. You're just
I
white.
I bring a whiteness that Carol Danvers wasn't able to deliver on. We need another blonde white one in there. No. I bring you know, like a clapper or like a snapper where like the lights go off. I can do that just like in any setting, like no special
Mhm.
equipment required. Walk into a room, clap, 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 lights go off, clap, 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 lights go on. So I have that. And then I feel like I also have the ability to like consume a lot of blue light. Like I can sit in front of a computer screen like 1 inch away from it and just like never get headaches. Like I never get headaches, I never get vision problems. So I'm just like really good at like Googling things, or like if they need someone to like constantly be scrolling on their iPhone, like I am the girl. I never have to turn the like nighttime settings on for like yellow light instead of blue light. And then also we know I'm an animal lover, so I think that I also want the ability to generate a little like laser pointer like from my finger or whatever so that I can just like play with Goose in the corner. Cause Goose honestly they need like a babysitter. They need a pet sitter because Carol, I don't know, they're like she's bringing them into battle with them. That doesn't seem very like safe for her cat. So I think that I stay on the ship safe, you know, clapping the lights on and off as I please, and then I have a little laser pointer finger that little goosey can chase back and forth. And
So you mostly stay on the ship.
yeah, I mostly am on the ship scrolling on TikTok, no headaches. But I'm there. You know, I want to be a part of the team. I just don't want to do much fighting. And then my last remake idea, which is why I was pushing back so hard against this idea that Dar Benn has too many accessories, is that I actually think that Dar Benn's stylist should be recruited by Marvel, by Shield,
It's
I
just
guess.
that man in a man bun.
We don't know who the stylist is, but they are killing the game because Dar Benn freaking walked out there in her like snatched
She looked
little.
sponsored by Claire's.
No, she looked absolutely fabulous. She walked out there. The accessories are like one thing, you know. Maybe we could take off like a hoop earring or something. Maybe we could take off one necklace, but the actual clothes themselves looked so much better than anything that Shield was whipping up in their little like factory because she had on like a tailored little piece and it had like all these designs. And I just think that frankly if I had one overall like criticism of the Marvels group, I just feel like the costumes aren't, like, giving what they need to give. Like, maybe Monica's. Monica was rocking, like, the black and white. That's her signature. I love that she's stepping away from, like, the red, white, and blue, like, I am America, like, theme. I like that she had, like, the crisp black and white, but even then, I don't know. I think that we get Dar Benn's stylist over into S.H.I.E.L.D., and I think that I'd be a lot more interested and invested in the characters if there was like a Project Runway spinoff of creating their costumes for each situation. Like Iron Man basically was giving that. Like he went through the various stages of the suits and was giving us the Project Runway um that we needed. And now that he's dead, we've lost out on that. So yeah, those are my remakes. What about you, Marriya?
I had a similar idea that there could be a fourth. And so I thought to play with the Marvel, it's Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. And so Midge is also transported like mid-set, and then Carol has to say something about she's in the middle of talking about Jewish parents, and Carol just has to improvise. And Midge is brought into space battle, and she promptly dies. And that's it. And that's actually how Marvelous Mrs. Maisel ends, is with a teleportation gone wrong. So she's only in that first scene, and then um someone has to explain to the family what happened. And then I was also thinking that um once Hala has like everything they need, they can stop like fighting for their lives and start focusing on culture. And so they show up to a Taylor Swift Eras concert tour, and they decide to take Taylor for a sense of arts and culture in Hala.
I thought that you were gonna say that they decide to, now that they're no longer struggling for survival, they, get into the arts and culture. And because they're from Hala, they're like, who is it? Madonna? And they're
Hala
like,
back girl.
yeah, they're like, we ain't no Hala back girls. But
Well, it's two because the Dar Benn is played by Tom Hiddleston's current partner, and then Taylor Swift
oh,
is a
really?
past partner. So we have that connection.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right, is that it? Was there any nepotism happening in this movie?
Um, Not too much, but I did want to mention that Iman Vellani, who plays Kamala, she's like an actual fangirl. She's really cool. She's Canadian. And so like when she auditioned, she actually had like Avengers all over her walls. And now she actually like writes the Miss Marvel comics, or at least helps write them. So she like has that direct involvement with like the
Oh,
other
that's cool.
part of like fandom culture, which I think is really cool. And then I did mention already that the Dar Benn is Tom Hiddleston's partner, and they have a kid. Um,
Mm.
and Maggie, who's been on the pod, she used to work at Barnes and Noble in Atlanta, where they film all the movies. And apparently, Tom Hiddleston did come in on Valentine's Day and bought chocolate and the Hamilton play book. So happy Valentine's Day, delayed. And then the guy, Mohan Kapoor, who plays Kamala's dad, he actually started out as the Hindi voice dub of like Doctor Strange in all of the Marvel movies. So when they do like the English to Hindi versions,
Mm.
that's how he got into the Marvel route, which I think is an interesting way of doing it. But Brooke, what have you been watching lately?
Not as much. I went to visit Marriya in DC this past weekend, 2 weeks ago. Um and for some reason, like my parents and I were in a hotel room, and we were like, let's watch like movies that like align with the Smithsonian museums that we saw today. So we went to Air and Space, and then we watched Apollo 13. It was the only one that was available in our hotel room, which had Netflix. So this is the 1995 movie with Tom Hanks starring and Kevin Bacon. And I had seen it before. It's really good. It's one of my mom's favorites. Marriya, what's the one that you said? It's just like Apollo with
I can't remember if it's Apollo or if it's, let me look it up.
who? Matthew McConaughey, or you
It's
said
Ryan
oh,
Gosling.
Ryan Gosling. So yeah, I'm interested to see that one too, because we were like going through the museum and Maria's like, well, based on what Ryan Gosling told me, this all checks out. So Apollo 13, of course, like based
First
on
Man, that's what it's called.
First Man. Apollo 13, of course, based on the real life, or yeah, the real story of the Apollo 13 moon mission, and I think Tom Hanks just does a fantastic job. So watched that, and then watched Jurassic World after going to natural history. Which I know many people hate the Jurassic World series, especially compared to Jurassic Park, but I don't hate it. I like it, and I haven't seen the third one that came out like last year, I think it was. So I'm trying to see if I can watch the second one and then watch the third one for the first time. Then no more museums, but then we watched, my roommate and I watched Zombieland Double Tap, which is the sequel to Zombieland that came out in 2019. I really like that movie. I think that Emma Stone and Jesse Eisenberg are just like so funny together on screen. And Woody Harrelson and Abigail Breslin's relationship as like surrogate father and daughter is more explored in the sequel and is really funny too. So really liked that one. I had seen it before. It was a rewatch for me. And then first time watch is not a movie but a series, is Bly Manor. We did a pod on Haunting of Hill House. So this is like, I think it was the director's like next one after that, which a lot of people say isn't as good as Hill House, but is still like good in its own right, which I have like 2 to 3 episodes left of. And definitely like even where I'm at right now, it definitely doesn't seem as good as Hill House. Definitely seems like less like storyline isn't as intricately like woven as Hill House was, but I'm definitely still enjoying it. There are definitely its own like twists and turns. And of course I haven't finished it yet. So and then I did watch the first episode of the new Avatar series on Netflix. I don't know if I'm willing to invest my time in continuing to watch it. I've seen mixed reviews from people. Some people say it's like really good and one of the best Netflix shows that they've seen in a long time. And then other people who were like diehard animated series fans are like, they're getting everything wrong, and here's how the characters are bad and everything like that. So it's been a long time since I saw the animated series, so I can't really judge in regards to how much it tracks with the original. But the first episode was good. I just have like a lot of other series that I think I would want to like prioritize before I jump back into it. So we'll see if I continue on with that one or not. But yeah, Marriya, what have you been watching?
I saw the first episode of the new season of Abbot Elementary, which I haven't really gone back yet. I should, but it's just like, I don't know, characters are changing jobs and like relationships and just not pulling me in as much as like the first season, or like maybe I'm not as into comedy at this point in my life. So I haven't really gone back. So I went to the other elementary, which is the show Elementary, which is the
Hmm.
Sherlock in New York series, which I like, and that's what I've been working on. Um, just to get a good amount of like murder in. And I think it is like interesting. I mean, obviously they break a lot of laws. I can't imagine that any of these like cases and deductions really work out in the court of law, but interesting to watch. I do like I like Lucy Liu, but her face is so dead, and like that's totally fine. Like that's a way of acting where it's like the character only uses like their voice to project what they're feeling, but it's like the cinematographer has not learned that. And so they do like extreme close-ups, like she's going to react and it's just like straight-faced, really boring for like an extra like 20 seconds. And so not I don't know. I don't think her performance is my favorite thing. And that's just basically because of how it's filmed. But Johnny Lee Miller, who plays Sherlock, he is like supposed to be like this really like dorky guy, but apparently he was like married to Angelina Jolie for a time, who was a fellow like Nepo baby, because his parents were both theater actors and his grandfather was Bernard Lee, who played M in the first like 11 James Bond movies. But I just like the idea that this like skinny little dorky British man was married to Angelina Jolie for some reason just does not compute fully for my brain. And then I've been trying to finish up Death and Other Details, but it's just like so bad. And the whole idea of the show was like it's kind of organized as like a manual of like how to crack cases and like if you're paying attention and you're like picking up the hints and the clues, you should be able to figure it out along with the characters if like you're paying attention to like the lessons of like paying attention to like when people are lying and stuff like that. But then they're just doing like plot twists that like never made any sense at all and came out of completely left field, and all of the characters are evil and awful and terrible. So it just has not been my favorite. So it's been like a very slow slog, especially because it's like one that like I think I would have liked it more if I binged it all in like one day, but it's one of those like weekly releases where it's like you have to come back to it every week. And I don't think I'm really necessarily willing to come back to it. Because I know they're just gonna have the dumbest reveal. Because I also looked it up because I was like, none of this is starting to make sense. It's like every single episode they reveal that one of the characters' parents is not their parent or whatever. It's like every single episode is something like soap opera-y like that when it's supposed to be based in reality. So it's just not my favorite. But whatever. So anything else you want to say, Brooke?
No, where can they find you and the pod?
They can find me at Marriya Schwarz on all social media and at Remake Hot Take on all social media. What about you, Brooke? Where can they find you?
They actually like can't find me anywhere. I like privated my Instagram and my
Really?
Twitter is still private. I don't know. I feel like Instagram, the like only reason that I have it public right now is like I don't know. I just like had it public at one point and then never switched it over. And now like random old men who want me to be their sugar baby like message me
This is
on
why you can't, this is why you're not producing a child because you have options.
I have options.
So
I'm
you
not
have to block them out.
yeah, I'm not taking him up on it. But you know, I have to like constantly block these like sex bots too. So I don't know, just made the move to make everything private. And maybe like stop using social media as much. I feel like I'm on it constantly. But yeah, if you want to like request a follow, you can do that. B_Reese Cup on Instagram. Alrighty. What's the like
Yay.
Marvel catchphrase? Is there a Marvel
Higher,
catchphrase?
further, faster, baby.
Higher, further, faster, baby.
Yay.
Bye.